Welcome guys to our first demo of annotations. Today we are just going to look at the basics of annotations, what you should know about working with annotations. So as you can see here, I have created a basic annotation and the retention policy I have set it to be runtime. We already talked about retention policy in our theory lecture, which is the previous lecture after this one. So we know that if we had not put any retention policy here, it defaults to class, which means that the annotation would be available at bytecode but not at runtime. But now we have specified that we want the annotation to be available at runtime, and therefore we can read the annotations via reflection. So as I have noted, the annotation will consist only of method declarations, and if there is one of them, you can even give default values if you want. So for instance here I can say default to Java space. I can just say like this and give it a default value if I want to. And if I do this, it means I'm not really required to provide a value when I use the annotation. So as you are aware here, we didn't specify there is what we call a target, and then you specify ElementType. Where can the annotation be applied? So if we don't specify that, it will be applied on any applicable declaration that we have. So for now, as you can see, we are applying this annotation on a class. We are also applying it on a method. Let's observe what happens if I put my target and I specify that the annotation can only be applied on a method. See, immediately I specify this, we have an error at class level, because I've specified that this annotation can only be applied at method level. Or I can specify that it can only be applied at field, which means at method and at class they are not allowed to be, the annotation cannot be applied at those levels. But if you remove this at target, it means you can apply it anywhere you want to apply. I hope that clarifies it. So now let's go back to a default value for a method in an annotation. So that means I can be able to leave out str, in which case our str will be defaulted to Java space when we have it as a default Java space. You are not required to provide a value for it. There is another thing I want to mention. I'm just gonna quickly remove this, and I'm also gonna remove it here as well. So if you have a one valued annotation, or what is also called default valued annotations, you have an annotation with one method declaration, you are advised or recommended to name that value, and one of the benefits is that you can specify the actual value without specifying the method name or the attribute name. So for instance, I can remove this and the code will still work. But if I do not give it method value, let's say str, you can see that here I'm having issues. There's an error here. That is one of the benefits you get when you name your default value annotation. You give the attribute name to be value. Okay, that is fine. I can just go back. So we can also have an array in an annotation, but that array can only be array of primitives, an array of object, array of other annotation, as well as an array of string. So you can have something like args. So this will be fine. Let's observe what happens if we say demo array. You see, this is not working as we have mentioned. Let's put object. Okay, this one also is not working as you observe. So let's put what else can we put? Okay, I will think about that as we continue our lecture. It's fine. So I can just go back. So so now that we have our another thing we must know, we know that method in an interface, they are by default public abstract. So you don't need to specify this abstract keyword here. So if I put public here, it will also tell me that it's redundant. I can remove the public modifier. It also tells me it's redundant. Alright, so now that I have declared my own annotation and then specified the runtime policy, and I have applied the annotation on a class as well as on a method, I want to get the values of the annotation, because remember we said an annotation is a way to add metadata to your declaration. It could be a class, it could be a method. So now what I want us to do with this demo, and I'm just going to remove this quickly. What we are going to do first, we're going to get a class. This is how you get a class object. And inside this class object, you have all this method, get method, get annotation, and inside this you have get method, get annotation. If we do this, we can just see that we do have this method, and it will tell you that it returns the method object that matches the specified name and the and parameter types. So if you see this one here, it will actually get the method object, which is this one here. And you could do other things. You can also get annotations from a method. Okay, before we even go there, you can get quite a lot of things. So let's say we also had a field int name, then on top of that field I apply this annotation, name Java 11, 30 value. So I can basically say field f equals to c.get field, and I give it the name of the field, which is name. And what is the name of that field? Is this one here. So what you see we are doing here, we are using a class, because a class is like a container. What we do is say get this method for us. That's what we are doing. And the reason we are doing this is because we want to introspect this method. and this is reflection. If you can look at this method, you will see that it's inside java.learn.reflect, which actually will introspect or do what we call instrumentation on that particular method. Then we see here what we are also doing. We are using that class to get the field name inside that class. And what we also will do, I'm just gonna say, okay, let me just use printf here so that I can not use interpolation to get the values. So what I want to do is get rid of the string interpolation, and then f.getValue. What I want to do is I want to say Java space fx f dot get f dot get annotation Java space. Alright, so I'm gonna say fx dot get value. So what I'm doing here, I have gotten a class object. You can get this in many ways, but this is the best. You can also say new demo 1 dot get class. You can do this, but you are advised to do the other one. You're still gonna have that object come back to you. Then what you have is you are using this class to get the method from that class. Then you are using this class also to get the field. Then what we want to do, we want to get the annotation declared on this particular field. That's what we want to do. Then, and this Java space annotation declared on this particular field. We also want to get an annotation Java space declared on the method. And then, since we are already on this class, the question now would be, if we want to get an annotation declared on a class, what would you do? You just say c.get annotation, because now it's on the class, it's on the method, it's on the field. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here, I'm just gonna say mx. So we're getting an annotation declared on a field, declared on a, what is C? Okay, on a method C, it's C. Then on a okay, sorry, C is a class. On a class annotation Java space declared on a class, and then F is a method. So what I'm gonna do, so that I don't get confused, I'm gonna put C here to be the first, then I'm gonna put M method, then I'm gonna put F, which is the field. Then here it says CX MX method FX. So I have CX MX FX. So I'm getting an annotation Java space that is declared on the class demo1. I'm getting an annotation JavaX declared inside a method, the space that is declared inside class C. Here I'm also getting an annotation Java space from a field called name that is declared inside class C. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna say ignore.print stack trace. So I'm gonna say ex.print stack trace, so that if errors come, we may see them. So what are the values that we are expecting here? Let's start with an annotation declared on a class. We are expecting value. Okay, the first one is str. Alright, so what we can do is I wanna do, sorry, so here I'm gonna say cx, let's say mx value fx. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna copy this, new line. So what we are expecting is we are expecting to get the string of cx, which is annotation on the class. String will be Java space, the value will be 900. Then on the method we'll have example 900, then we have Java 11 900. So here we can just say the space is fine. So those are the values we are expecting to get. So I'm gonna say fx here. Let's run this code and see what we get. Okay, it says it doesn't find field name. Okay, so we need to make this public. I forgot. So let's run just class. Okay, format specifier. Okay, let's see. S 1 2 3 1 2 3. This 6 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 1 2 1 2. Okay, this is what I was supposed to do, guys. I have a lot of placeholders, more than necessary. Yeah, so we see we have Java space 900, the space 90, Java 11 30. So this is what we actually mean by we are doing reflection. So we see that it couldn't allow us to do reflection on name because name was not public. So you see that reflection is only possible on public elements. That is why when people want to do reflection on non-public elements, they will try to convert that non-public element into a public element before they can actually do reflection on it. So let's try and make this a protected private method. We see that we are going to land into the same problem. You can't do reflection on this because it's private. So we saw how we actually read an annotation at class level, at method level, as well as at field level, and we saw all the requirements that those fields, they must be public and available for the reflection to happen. And we saw how we can use default values, and we also saw the default value annotation, or annotation with one attribute. So if we remove this default value, it would mean that everywhere we are using that annotation, we must provide a value for str. So this str here, we can say it's demo1. And let me just run it and then we get demo1, as you can see. Also, what you need to see is that the order here does not really matter. We see that we declared str first and value first, but here we're able to give value first before str. So that is all, guys, about the basics of annotations. We will see each other in the next video.